In the beginning was this internal thought, rational thought processes, and that's what the Greeks thought of. It also had a philosophical idea. The philosophical idea meant that all prevailing rational driving principle of the entire universe, the logos for the Greeks, was the reason for life. It was the essence of everything that is created, the driving force, the laws of nature. It was all the logos. And we get the idea logic from it. The logic of the universe, all that it does, all the facets of it. To the Greeks, that's what they meant by it. And in the beginning was this rational, philosophical idea of logic, of reasoning, of expression, of thoughts, and it was eternal. And now he's addressing this to the Greek thinkers. It's even deeper than that. All things happened through this omniscient, omnipresent logos to the Greeks. They understood this as the idea of the one eternal God. Now to the Greeks, all the gods were very, very impersonal. They were somehow outside of creation. And John is connecting with these Greek-thinking people that God, our God, is not outside of the universe. He is intimately, passionately involved in our lives. He is the creator. He is the reason for light. He is the reason for life. And He steps into our time so that we can know Him. To the Hebrews, the Logos had a little bit different idea. To the Hebrew, the word Logos meant the expression of God's wisdom. God did everything through His Word. The Word of the Lord came upon me. You'll find that expression all over in the Old Testament. As the waters that come down from heaven and water the earth, even so is my word that comes forth from my mouth, God says. It will complete that which I sent it to prosper. In Jeremiah, God says, my word is like a hammer. My word is like wheat. What will you compare it to? Over and over again, the Word of God to the Hebrews was God's divine expression of His will in life. And in the beginning was the Word, God's expression. God's involvement in creation was seen. In Proverbs chapter 8 and verse 22, we see this Jewish idea of eternal logos with God. It was also described as in Hebrew as Hakmah, which means God's eternal knowledge and wisdom. Listen to this and tell me if it doesn't sound like Jesus Christ to you. Proverbs chapter 8. I'll just read a few of these verses for us today. The Lord possessed me in the beginning of His ways. Before the works of old, I was set up from everlasting, or ever the earth was. When there was no depths, I was brought forth. When there was no fountains abounding with water. Before the mountains were settled, before the hills were brought forth. While as yet He had not made the earth or the fields or the highest part of the dust of the worlds. When He had prepared the heavens, I was there. When He set the compass upon the face of the depths, I was there. When He established the clouds, even when the strength of the fountains of the deep. When He gave the sea its decree, and the waters should not pass the commandment. When He appointed the foundations of the earth, then I was by Him, one brought up with Him, and I was daily His delight, rejoicing always before Him. When the Hebrews, who were monotheistic, passionately monotheistic, read this, in the beginning was the Logos, they understood that to mean that Jesus Christ is co-equal with one eternal God. The Greeks understood this as the rational reasoning behind the whole universe. The logic of it all was Jesus Christ. John is a missionary here. He is bridging the gap between Jew and Gentile. He's bridging the gap between philosopher and theologian and saying, yes, it is all found in Jesus. And then he uses a unique preposition here. It's translated in almost all English translations. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. It's the Greek preposition pros, or pi, rho, omicron, sigma. If you want to look it up in the lexicon, pros doesn't mean with, but that's the only way to properly translate it here. Literally, it is, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was toward God. What John is saying here is that there is an inseparable relationship, even though these two people have unique personalities. We begin right here to see the doctrine of the Trinity. Jesus, the Logos, is toward God. There's an inseparable relationship toward God, but yet they are unique and distinct individuals. That is the Christian doctrine of the Trinity, and John is clarifying that for us. For the Hebrews, the Word is the expression of God's infinite divine wisdom. For the Greeks, He is the pervading, rational, driving principle of the entire universe. All that God accomplishes in His will and in this world is through Jesus Christ. With one term, the Logos, John is bringing all people and bridging the distance between a transcendent God and the physical world of men. Jesus is the bridge. We are so separated from God by a chasm that you and I can't even imagine. His thoughts are not our thoughts. His ways are not our ways. As high as the heaven is above the earth, so are God's thoughts and God's ways above our ways. But God also says this in Isaiah 55, "Thus saith the high and holy one who inhabits eternity, who dwells in a high and holy place. I also dwell with him who is of a humble and contrite spirit." We come to the infinite God across the bridge of Jesus Christ alone. Jesus is the starting point for all things, for all people, whether Jew or Gentile. The rational laws of the universe for the Jew, the infinite divine purpose of God for the Gentile, the heavens and the earth were made by Christ. I want to submit to you today that if you want to know the purpose and the meaning of life, start with Jesus. It's that simple.